Welcome to Adjusted Reality, a podcast series trusted by the adjusted and brought to you by the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress, where we learn from athletes, celebrities, influencers, and healthcare professionals about how to optimize health in a fun, relatable way. Join me, Dr. Sherry McAllister, as we welcome team chiropractor for professional athletic organizations and author Dr. Nick Athens. Dr. Athens is a graduate of Palmer Chiropractic College who has dedicated his career to empowering individuals to take control of their health. He has served as team chiropractor for the San Francisco 49ers and San Francisco Giants, helping players manage their injuries and stay healthy. I could not be more excited because, well, he lives in my hometown area. So it's nice to have someone local that can bring such an important message to you, to all of you. Welcome, Dr. Nick Athens.
Thank you, Dr. McAllister. Thank you very much. Appreciate being here, and sharing the good news of how to change your health trajectory.
It is. It's a big key for many of our listeners is looking at how and why their health makes a big difference. And I know as author of the new book that just came out, ladies and gentlemen, this is a big win for those who want to start implementing their changes in their life. It's called To Health With You, but we'll get back to that soon. Let's find out more about Dr. Athens. So we're going to start with what actually inspired you, Dr. Athens, to be first and foremost a doctor of chiropractic. And then you moved specifically kind of into a team sport as their chiropractor. Tell us more about that.
Well, that's interesting. I started practice back in 1983, and I just graduated from chiropractic school. But before I got into chiropractic school, I injured my lower back. I went to a chiropractor who helped me get over the condition. And I realized that as junior in high school, and this is how most chiropractic students find chiropractic is through an injury. And I got referred to the Palmer College of Chiropractic. My doctor who took care of me recommended me there because I wanted to work with my hands and help other people. And I went back to school and graduated from Palmer. This was late 70s. I injured myself. And then by the time I graduated, it was 1982, 1983, started my practice from scratch. No patients come out of school. You think a lot of patients are going to come see you, but then you see all the resistance that you're meeting back in that time, in that era. So 10 patients later, going out and giving talks, I get referred Roger Craig, who was a 49er running back at the time, number 2 pick for the 49ers. And he came in 1983, the year I started practice, and his former chiropractor, Dr. Mitch Malley, back in Davenport, Iowa, referred him to me to follow up care since he was a member of the 49ers. And I started taking care of him. And then he started sending patients here and there. And he was a big believer because he was from Davenport, Iowa, of all places, where the Palmer College Chiropractic was. So he came in, and after 6 or so of his colleagues, and not his colleagues, but his teammates that he sent in, they started doing really well and responding very well to chiropractic care for their injuries. And I decided to write a team letter to the team doctor. And the team doctor, I thought, would be a great response coming back saying, I'm here to help. And they said, no, we don't believe in chiropractors. It's something we don't send patients or athletes to. If any of the players come see you, it's not by referral, and we would never send anyone to a chiropractor. And that's pretty much what I had heard when I first got out of school anyway. So I'd say 80% of the people, which I mentioned in the book, said, there was a lot of resistance on chiropractic because you didn't go to medical school. So therefore, since you didn't go to medical school, there's your standard. Okay, well, let's compete with that over the years and see how accurate that statement is. So in essence, I decided to start going to the hotel and adjusting. Roger Craig said, come to the hotel and start adjusting us the night before the games. I started going the night before the games, and I started adjusting many of the players. And eventually, fast forward, 1990, I had 35 of the 49 players under care, even though the team doctors didn't believe in what I was doing. So over half the team's getting adjusted, and the team doctors don't believe in it because back then all they did was cortisone shots, ejections, cortisone shots, surgeries, and over-the-counter pain pills. So the players were looking for something else to improve their performance, and they used chiropractic care. And from that point on, just going through that era of time, I never really got the job, but I was independent of the team. But eventually I did get hired as team doc in 2014, from all the players that still kept coming to see me for a few years. And I played that role with them. And then I played the role earlier with the Giants, San Francisco Giants. So after working with with a couple of sports teams, you get a chance to see how sports teams work and the sports business works. And in essence, it jump-started chiropractic in the late 90s for chiropractors to be part of sports teams. And most sports teams now in Major League Baseball, basketball, and football all have chiropractors as part of their team uh, team healthcare system.
What I really love about your story is it took one, right?
Yep.
And so many football players, they know what they need to get when they're on the field. And Jerry Rice was one of our spokespersons way back when that really talked about how quickly the recovery was and how much better they felt as they were moving through the game. And football is one of those very intense, physically demanding, but also punishing sport. And so I'm sure that as Roger Craig over the years would be injured, it's kind of that moment of reflection of what was that thing that really helped me get back on the field. And so many of the athletes are finding that it is a team approach, and having a chiropractor there that really helps mitigate those injuries, helps prevent, because we see things as we watch athletes in their play that we know if they continue down that road, an injury is going to happen. And I really applaud you for kind of breaking through that veil of, yes, you did not go to medical school, and the education was not subpar. In fact, I like to always think back to, if there was a real problem with chiropractic, why have we grown so much over the years? And I'm sure you've had thoughts in that direction as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got to realize as a chiropractor and practicing, I started from scratch and with no patients. So for those patients to come see me over 42 years I've been in practice, I'm 65 now. So attracted over 27,000 new patients, and all of them um, as a last resort doctor. And out of those 27,000, I probably only had 15 medical referrals, which is
Yeah.
crazy. So all the other 27,000 found their way through their friends and their families. And most chiropractors, that's how they build their practices, is through friends and referrals from family and friends and community members. And in that time, over 750,000 patient visits. And you learn from all the patients what the bad habits they had, and why they went down the rabbit hole of ill health. And the book is about being this vortex of all this information that came through me to channel out a jigsaw puzzle that gives people clarity on how to age efficiently with less breakdowns, and to live a life without drugs, injections, and surgeries. And not to say that people don't need those along the way at certain times, but what if you took a proactive approach to aging and not a reactive approach? Maybe you can have better results. And a chiropractor is like I call myself a body mechanic. People come in, and body work is part of longevity. And if you get your body worked on, getting adjusted, and your body and nervous system rebooted, your body's going to take a different aging trajectory. And so if you can be proactive, taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, stretching, which I will talk about in the book a little bit, weight training, and keeping your vascular system strong, and getting good sleep, and having accountability, and keeping a calm brain. If you do these factors and you add chiropractic in essence be part of your healthcare team that you're developing to keep you going in the right direction on your journey to better health, to have a better quality of life, more activity, and more fun.
It is. And you said the key word there, more fun. And
Yep.
as we live our lives, we have to recognize that we're not a machine. Even though we treat our bodies very harsh in many cases, in that these machines do in fact need maintenance, if you want to call them a machine. And I like that you said body mechanic, because it is very true. You know, you take your car in better than you take your body in for repair. We
Mhm.
look at, if you hit a pothole, you recognize that the steering wheel starts to jiggle a little bit, and you're like, okay, I got to take that in. But reality is, oftentimes our cars are very well maintained because we understand that if the oil light goes on, you're going to have a very serious problem soon. And I want to ask you, since you have treated some professional athletes and you've built this book, we know professional athletes, oftentimes we think of them kind of in the superhuman figure. But they're really just like the rest of us. They require recovery, proper care, and maintenance. As you went through and started really putting this book together, what were some of the surprising insights that you gained as you're writing it? And also, as you looked back over the years of treating these elite athletes that maybe our current listeners, they particularly didn't think about? What were some of the fun insights as you started to develop this book?
Boy, that's a great question. So one of the number one thing that I noticed patterns, and a lot of the patterns I saw was when people were in pain and came to see me as a last resort, they've already gone to the medical system. They didn't get results. They were scheduled for surgeries and cortisone shots and injections. They didn't want that, so they come to see me as last resort. They were all in a bad mood. So they're all mentally depressed with pain. They're frustrated. They talk a lot. They talk so much, they're trying to talk the pain out of themselves. And it's like, okay, settle down. I'm hearing. I'm a good listener. I had to learn to go to counseling to listen better because I knew what I had to do to get them on the table. But the patients, I went to the counselor one time and said, patients won't go on the table. I don't know what it is. And he says, well, you're not listening to them. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, you want to get on the table, hear what they have to say, absorb the information, and then tell them you heard what you said, what they had to say, and then they'll go on the table and you can start doing your work with them. So I became a very, very good listener, and you hear what patients going on, and they're a lot of pain, and they are not themselves. It's like something took over their body and they're not themselves. So all the people who are in bad mood or in pain or in bad mood. So physical pain leads to mental pain. So I found, Sherry, it was when these patients got better and I got them out of pain, adjusted them and rebooted their system and taught them better habits and found out what they were doing incorrectly, their mood changed too. And they said, doc, I went for a walk today. I felt like stretching today. You know what? I finally slept 8 hours. I felt like I could move better. I don't have brain fog. I have better clarity. I have better focus in my life. I'm listening better. I'm getting along with my kids better. My husband and I get along better. The family is better off now at the dinner table. And you find that one piece affects the family. It just doesn't affect the individual person. It's the domino effect that you get when people are hurting. There's so many people around them that gets affected. So you're helping so many other people, which leads to the practice now, because now they see how much better that person got. And now they're saying, wow, if you went together with a chiropractor, my doctor told me not to see the chiropractor. Well, like I said in the book, the safety of the chiropractic, the malpractice cost is so inexpensive. Insurance companies look at that. And so if you look at safety, it's a great, safe profession to utilize. And there's great chiropractors out there. And most people get referred to chiropractic to start chiropractic care. And I found that a lot of these patients who came in felt like it was a lot safer than they thought. They felt like it was a lot better than they thought. They could get better without drugs, injections, surgeries. And it helped them mentally and it helped them physically, and it also helped them get out of the rabbit hole instead of just throwing products at them to slow the progression down the rabbit hole. I wanted to move them out of the rabbit hole so their mind and body was more congruent and they felt like they were going in a better path towards health. They became themselves again. They became more active, started having more fun. And that would be a main thing. The physical pain led to a lot of mental depression, which I talked about in the book, and why that happens because the subconscious brain wants to protect you. A lot of people live in a stressful state 24/7, and a lot of people sleep incorrectly. A lot of people don't stretch. A lot of people don't stay strong. And a lot of people, Sherry, don't see time. After 42 years of practice, I'm 65 now, like I mentioned, I see time, and I see what time does to the body. And time will expose your healthcare decisions. Time will expose you.
Absolutely.
So you
Absolutely.
could think you're making decisions, good decisions, but that's your perception, that's your fantasy, and the conscious brain doesn't know fantasy for perception reality. So if you live in the fantasy and perception world without anyone giving you a realistic voice, then you're going to go down the rabbit hole. That's why, and I talk about in the book, athletes have coaches. You can imagine coaches manage the athlete's perception, and you can only imagine the chaos in pro sports without coaches. They call timeouts for a reason. The athletes think they're playing really great. The coach says, no, you're not. Sit down. We have to reevaluate to win the game. So that's where chiropractic care comes in, because chiropractors can be that person who says, time out, let's reevaluate it. Let's get you on the table. Let's find a different path out of the rabbit hole that you've been experiencing this discomfort and this brain fog and clarity issues that could be affecting you not only physically, but mentally. So, I guess,
When you started talking about the piece about how the pain does change you, and there's no doubt about it. I mean, this world has been, unfortunately and permanently altered by opiate use, misuse, and abuse. And the first and foremost piece is to try something that is safe and non-addictive as a first line approach. I think that is a critical piece as we move into some of the campaigns that we have done, which is Drug-Free Pain Management Awareness Month with the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress. And Nick, there's a story in there that I absolutely love, and I'd love you to share it. It is the story about the little boy and why he liked his dad going to see you. Could you share that with our audience? I just love the story.
which story was that, Sherry?
It's how the impact of going to see a chiropractor affects the family.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
if you'd share that.
Yeah. So, parents are concerned, they come in concerned, and chiropractic care is for children also, right? And young adults. And it's a lot of injuries happen with young adults with playing sports and bad habits. And a lot of young adults hunch forward, they're on their phones, they're on their computers, they sleep incorrectly. And I guess you see these miracle cases that come in because I see children who go from A's to D's and F's in school, and they're not focused. They lose their brain fog. They have clarity issues, and they are A students, and they've had high education potential, and it just gets taken away because their nervous system's more or less short-circuited. So when you reboot the nervous system, much like you would reboot your phone or your computer, you're opening up flow. And when you're opening up flow, you're causing improved blood flow to the brain, improved blood flow to the this hair recovery machine, so it could work more efficiently. Now you get better focus, better clarity, and you see these cases. I actually expect them when they come in. I expect them to get well. I expect them to get better because you see so many thousands of them. You see the patterns they all have, that they've developed the bad habits over the years. Many people sleep on their stomachs. They sleep with their hand next to their face. They grind their teeth. They clench their jaw. They sleep incorrectly, and they wake up pre-stressing their body, which leads to injuries. So people have poor sleep posture, and a lot of people hunch forward. So I found all these patterns from people. I'll give you an example. I had a lot of contractors, electricians, plumbers, and they all had left hip and leg pain. I was going, why do they have left hip and leg pain? I was going, well, and then I saw outside my window, I saw one of them get out of the car. They have high trucks. And when they have high trucks, they get out of the car and they pound the left leg. They pound the left leg. They pound the left leg. And so I was going, okay, let's I'll adjust you and let you know, make sure you have good shoes because they'll absorb shock, but make sure you swing both legs out of the car. And when you said swing both legs in the car. So these bad habits have consequences, like I said, over time. And if you could catch these bad habits sooner rather than later, then you could change the health trajectory of the person to prevent maybe getting a hip replacement.
It is. It's the
Spinal surgery.
timeout. You
It's the
really had that
timeout, which we
moment.
talked about. There's these timeouts that you see, and then you see all these patterns, which is in the book that you learn from all the people. So it's really, I thank all in the book. I thanked all the people who came to see me over the years that I learned from, that I could put a book out to share with the world a better,
A better
quality of
way,
life,
really. And
a
it's
better
in,
way.
I loved that you brought in the family, the entire family. It's not just, hey, I'm in pain, I need to get better. It's really absorbing that this is a family issue. And I bring that up because we had the great pleasure of working with your daughter, who's just a phenomenal athlete.
Mhm.
And I saw her eyes lit up. It's for those of you that don't know, perhaps dad should brag about his daughter for just one moment because she must be a sparkle in your eye. Share a little bit about your daughter because she just glowed knowing that she would never have got to where she's got to without her dad.
Yeah, you know what? I've had two sets of twins. I've raised two sets of twins, boy-girl twins. They're 31, almost 32. And the second set, they just turned 26 yesterday. Two boy-girl twins. And, they were always into sports. You don't know that one of your children to become a pro athlete. But, all the children were brought up on chiropractic care. They saw 49ers coming over the house. They saw athletes get adjusted. And I'll say that, she saw athletes getting adjusted, and she always wanted to be an athlete. She was good in a lot of sports like the other children were, but she chose soccer, and she happened to go at another level with that. She plays for the Seattle Reign now, which is the women's soccer team in Seattle. She's number 12 on the team up there. And her twin brother's going to chiropractic school, so he'll be taking over the practice. So one of the four children decided to be a chiropractor. And the best thing about that, Sherry, is I never talked him into being a chiropractor. I just kept showing up, going to the office every day, working hard. I think I missed one day in 42 years of practice. Keep showing up, showing up, showing up. They see that hard work ethic. They see the callus being formed from the resistance and doing it over and over. And there's repetition and mastering your trade. And he decided to want to do it too. So that came from him. Older two, doing great. Also, so I mean, with the four children, to educate all four of them and be productive and get people well, it's a lot of work with a beautiful wife. But I think that, it's all worked well in the long run. And now
Oh,
share that whole story
we give
in the
kudos to
book.
the entire Athens family because you can't do it alone. I was
No, no, no.
speaking to Dr. Rogers, Aaron Rogers' father, and the son we had on as well, and we recognize there's something very, very special when you're a chiropractor and you have a family. It's really not a career; it's a lifestyle.
Yeah,
And as we laughed about, the younger Aaron family maybe did want to have Lucky Charms in the house. It just didn't happen.
right.
So we kind of go back a little bit and we laugh because at some point, if you're listening today and you're thinking about, man, I have a lot of pain and I am taking a lot of drugs for that pain. I can tell you right now that Nick Athens saw a lot of football players that were in a lot of pain and they were taking a lot of drugs. So first and foremost, there is hope. And in order for you to cope with what you're going through, you need to have that hope. And I think what Dr. Athens is really sharing with you when he puts out a book, and again, I just want to remind you, it's a great read. It's called To Health with You. That book was primarily done because over the course of his fabulous legacy, his career, now passing it on to his children is such a beautiful thing, but we need to be able to have our coaches in place. And one such coach is, I hope that everybody out there is starting to think about how do I maintain my body and make sure that my life and my longevity is at par, because the days that we celebrate and really enjoy are ahead of us. And our retirement, as I know Dr. Athens is looking forward to when his son takes
Yeah,
over, is like, hey, I worked a lot of hours. I
yeah.
do deserve some time away. But Nick, tell me one thing as our last question. And I'm so grateful that you joined us today because I know it has been a journey and every life has a journey that is worth telling. And I'm so glad you put it in writing. But the big piece of as you went through and you talk about the lifestyle decisions that people lead to, which are really the unhealthy habits. And you recognize that there really are some alarming lifestyle habits that kind of take control not only of their life, but the quality of their life. Tell me a little bit about when our listeners are there today, what would you tell them that you saw that really alarmed you for the future that they could potentially take care of today?
Yes, great question. So, I told you time exposes decisions, and I think a lot of people, time creeps up on them. And so you can't get time on the back end. You can't be 80 years old and say, you know what? That's right. I should be started yoga classes. I should have started weight training classes. I should have started some high intensity class. I should have kept my heart stronger. You can't get the time back. So one thing I would say to the listeners, make sure all our forward activities has a cumulative effect on us, and time accumulates, and that cumulative effect creates issues with the body. And flexibility is a big part of it. I think a lot of patients are inflexible. They can't move. They shuffle. They lose their balance. They fall. They are looking for guidance, and you can't get the guidance and the results by just taking medications for your health. So I feel that people need to stay strong. They need to have some weight training. They need to build a healthcare team in their life. The chiropractor, whether it be the personal trainer, the walking partner, the yoga class, the person who stretches you, hydration, make sure you drink enough water. There's dehydration injuries that happen because the body's like a sponge, and a lot of people drink soda, coffee, tea, alcohol, and they think in their mind that's their perception because they haven't talked about it to anybody. They feel that it's turning into water, and the body doesn't take that and turn it into water. So now they're dehydrated, which leads to injuries, which we talk about hydration. They don't sleep correctly. They have a lot of things in their mind. I talk about journaling, writing things down, using scents, scalp massage, stretching before bed, waves, waterfalls. Your five senses protect you. Your five senses calm you. So use calming techniques. Now, why would you want to calm the brain, Sherry? Because you make better decisions. I talk about it in the book. I talk about a hurricane, and I wanted to think of something that talked about stress and anxiety and calm in one picture. And most people live in the outer bands of the storm. They don't live in the eye of the storm. The athletes call that the zone, the calm place where the decisions are the best. Most people live in the outer bands. They think they could get to the calm, but they don't know how to get there. And I talk about that in the book, how to get to a calmer state, which I talk about how chiropractic can help you too. But anyway, if you can live in a calm state, your decisions are better. Therefore, you're going to start doing positive, proactive things for your health. And there's a big different path when you do proactive aging rather than reactive aging. Reactive aging, you just react to whatever comes your way, and you're not going to get the best results. And my job is not to have people just become health statistics.
Right.
That was a great person, but they passed on. But maybe if Mary started stretching earlier and started having more stretching, getting body work done, and doing some weight training and breathing correctly and sleeping better, maybe we could have tilted that aging trajectory to a better path. And so that's where you need realistic voices in your life to help you along that path. And you just can't take drugs for long-term health. If you look at the blue zones, people live 100 years old, over 100. This veterinarians, they live in the blue zones, and what do you find? Calm, community, and good food choices, right? They have their own gardens, but the main thing is they're in a calmer state with a community. So what if you lived in a calmer state or balanced the scales, which I talked about, add calm to your life, which will balance stress, and not live in that stressful state, in more of a calmer state. And now you're actually changing your trajectory for the better and to make better decisions for your overall health, and use people around you, professionals that will help you go along. The yoga instructors, I give kudos to the Pilates instructors. I give credit to the acupuncturists. So I wanted to make it a healthcare book. I sprinkle chiropractic in the book, but I wanted to add so many great health tips to people to change their life going forward. I really feel it's a blueprint formula for aging. I live the book. I live 100%. It's not like I've taken all the information. I sprint at the track. I still pump iron. I still stretch, do yoga. And all these people are on the outside that help people every day. I wanted to give them kudos because they deserve it. They help people, not become health statistics. And, my goal is to keep people out of that statistical category. I want to see them live a long life, and I want to see them live a good quality of life, having more fun, more activity. And we talked about earlier, Sherry, that helps the whole family. That helps the domino effect. Let's go with grandma to the park. Let's go with grandma to such and such. Let's go with grandma to do this. She wants to travel with us. She wants to go with us. But my point being is that's a great life to live. The grandparents now can spend time with the grandkids, and their health isn't compromised, and as a result of those bad decisions from many years ago.
It's a
So,
nice image, Nick, that you
yeah,
left our audience with, which is, what do you want your future to look like? It's got to be beautiful. You
yeah.
have to be brave. You have to start somewhere. And picking up this book today is one of those places where you can start. You can start reading through it and become more bold for your future so it can be more beautiful, because the time is now. And I think that's why you were so brazen to say, I'm stepping out of my practice. I need to help the masses. I've helped the people that have come in, the 27,000. Now I need to be able to get this message out, be creative so that our audiences can start living a better life and not being reactive. As you said, there is no pill for every ill, and the future really, truly is a chiropractor that can nurture. So thank you, Dr. Nick Athens. The book, again, is called To Health with You. I'm hoping my audience will be able to enjoy and find some important aspects they can add to their lives. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to Adjusted Reality as we spoke to Dr. Nick Athens about his career and his new book, To Health With You, Life-Changing Strategies to Improve Your Mind and Body. Well, there's a lot of things out there that we can do, but I think if we just take one step forward each day to do a little bit more, be a little bit better, it's just like he said, it's cumulative, and we want to be able to have a bright future. What does that future look like? Take a moment today, reflect. What do you want your future to look like? Because it's going to be there before you know it. The best of us is ahead of us. And this podcast was brought to you by the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress. And as a special gift for listening today, you can visit f4cp.org/health, and you can get a copy of our Complete Health, includes mind, body, and spirit ebook. Don't forget to subscribe, share the podcast with family and friends, rate and review. And if you're feeling so inspired to learn more about chiropractic, or in fact, to find a doctor of chiropractic near you, you can visit f4cp.org/find-a-doctor. We sincerely appreciate your support, and we look forward to checking back in with you again very soon.